ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of CreativiTEA. I'm very excited today because, I've been hearing so much about grants, 30 billion, 5 billion everywhere. So today I have a man in the house who can explain to us everything about getting a grant, everything about being in the creative economy in Nigeria and how you can succeed. And I'm so excited. And so I'm going to let him introduce himself. I have here with me Mr. Fego John, right?
Umunubo, yes.
Umunubo. Don't mind me. I try to escape from actually pronouncing tribal names. God help me. God help me.
I always prefer my native name to
Your-
my English name. Yeah.
right.
So most times John is always silent. Yeah. Most people don't even know that I
Oh,
have John by
really?
name. So I deliberately just keep it aside.
So Fego is actually an Urobo name.
Yes.
So Fego
Isoko name
Umunubo.
actually.
Isoko name.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So here you have it, Mr. Fego Umunubo.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the show
Thank
today.
you very much. Thank you
So
very
I
much.
think we will start a little bit by getting to know you because I know a lot of people might not know you.
Okay.
For those that know you, I know you also had like a stint with Stanbic Bank. You've been on the brand side. You've worked for some time before you got your new appointment. So can you just give us like a brief intro?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, hi everyone. My name is Fegho-X Umunubo. I'm the special assistant to the president on digital and creative economy, the office of the vice president. Before I go into government or before my appointments, I used to run a marketing and advertising agency.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't see that.
So it's so funny that someone reminded me that you posted one of our ads that we did for Zenith Insurance.
Oh, hope it
So
was
this
nice.
it was nice, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, you actually. So I think you were posting ads that were outstanding, and you
Yeah.
posted that one. I said, oh, wow, interesting. It reminded me. Yeah. So I'd done that for close to 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah, managing brands from Honda Automobile, Flutterwave, Zenith Insurance, Chikasin Group, and some other brands. And it has been an interesting journey.
Did you work with any of the brands before you formed your own advertising
No.
agency? Oh, really?
So I started from school. I've always been an entrepreneur from
Are
school.
you freaking-
Yeah.
Pardon my language.
So even in school, while I was in school, I started running business in school. It all started as a tutorial. You know what they call tutorial masters in Uniben then, because I did engineering. So I started teaching tutorials, and from there, that's how the whole business entrepreneurship journey started.
So why marketing and advertising agency?
It's like I say, it started from school.
Okay.
I didn't know that I had that because my
You,
dream was to
right?
be an engineer.
Oh, wow.
That was the mission, just be an engineer, build electronic stuff, and
And that was what you read in school, yeah?
that was what I wanted, and that's what I read. But at the end of the day, I realized that I had marketing skills from school because from teaching tutorials, someone identified the skill that I can actually convince people to do stuff and buy stuff, and that's how I got into marketing, and that was it for me.
Oh, that's interesting. So what was the name of your advertising agency? And it's
Extreme
still-
Minds is still there, yeah.
it's
So
still
because
there.
I had to resign, then the board had to appoint someone else to take over.
Oh.
Yeah, Extreme Mind Solutions Limited.
Extreme
yeah.
Mind Solutions
Lucky
Limited.
Phase One, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So which of the brands have you worked? You mentioned them. Which one would you say was your most outstanding work before we move over to your appointment?
Honda.
Honda. Oh.
Honda was a difficult brand.
I'm even surprised. I never knew Honda usually do
Honda-
marketing in
Yeah,
Nigeria.
Honda was a
do?
difficult brand because so before now it was Stallion Group that was handling the marketing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before Honda now came into Nigeria. So when they came into Nigeria, they had to appoint. Started using government terms now.
It's okay.
Yeah, they had to bring in an agency, and the process was difficult. We came late into the whole process, but it was difficult because first they threw out the challenge for agencies to do a campaign design.
A pitch, right?
Yeah, and we did that. We did the funny part. We did the first one. They rejected it. I could have just said no, then
No,
just continue.
yeah.
But I pleaded for another opportunity. They gave us another
Oh.
opportunity. We did the second one. They rejected it. They did the third one. They rejected it.
Wow.
It was the fourth one. I think one that I just came out of the office and I was walking on the street. I realized that we're doing normal stuff and they were rejecting it. At this point, we needed to do something
Crazy.
extraordinary and something crazy. And we did it something crazy. And I didn't even think that we were going to accept it. We did it and we sent it to them. That was what they not accepted. And then they sent us an email that we have been selected, and that was it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think the company has been managing Honda for the past 5 years now.
Wow. I'd like to see that very campaign. I'll go look
Yeah,
for it.
I'll share with you.
I'll be grateful. I'd like
It was
to see
crazy,
it.
but it was good. Yeah.
Wow. So why did you
So
think they were rejecting it? That means they were looking for something
they were
different.
looking for something, and I wasn't sure what they were looking for.
Oh,
Yeah, I wasn't sure what. So we just kept trying,
okay.
and until we got that particular one, and it was a good. But the good thing is that I also have to give. So it was a collaborative effort because I had to bring in someone else, one of my friend. The guy is
Oh,
a crazy
yeah.
guy, and I told him, and he had to work with us
On
for
that
us to
brief.
do that. And I'm glad that it came out well, and all of that. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting. From this
Yeah.
story alone, I can see that you are very resilient.
I don't give up. Yeah.
You don't give
I don't give up.
up.
Yeah.
But that's an amazing thing. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, you still got
Yeah.
the account. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we've been consistent with them. Yeah, and I know when I say they are difficult, so typically they change agencies every 1 year, and which is typically with all big, but they've kept us in. And one of the things they tell me is that we always go out of the box to do stuff for them beyond our KPI, beyond
Yeah.
what they paid us, and that's why they've kept us.
And
Yeah,
even
yeah.
globally, if you check, Honda's advertising has always been different.
Yeah.
They like to think differently.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. So, how did you now go from being an executive in a marketing firm to being the
Okay.
SA to the
So,
the president?
I get this question a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't have any plan to be in the
Really?
government.
To go into politics.
Yeah, I'm not a politician. I was traveling to Ghana, so I engage a lot whenever I'm traveling. I talk to people a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a contract with a brand, and we needed to expand to other countries in Africa. So we had gone to Kenya. Then I needed to open a branch in Ghana. So I was traveling to Ghana, and I met somebody at the airport. I'm probably not going to mention names here. So I met someone at the airport, and I was deliberate. So I engaged him. I didn't know who he was. Yeah, I engaged him. We started talking, and he asked me who I was. I told him who I was. I gave him my card. Then I asked him. At that point, it wasn't government, but it wasn't. Okay, let me not go into this because if I say that,
It's
you probably
fine.
know. Yeah. So he told me who he was, and oh wow. So he told me where he was going to, and I said, oh, interesting. Then I joked, are you here with your PA? And he said no. So I told him that I'm going to be your PA on this trip. He was shocked. So I had to pause on the reason why I was going
Yeah.
to Ghana. I followed him on the trip, and I went for the event, the 2 days event. So we had a lot of engagement. We talked and all of that. Then he told me to come and see him when I was back. Then when I got back, so when he left, I now started the reason why the reason why I went to Ghana. I
Ghana.
go back to Nigeria, I went to Abuja. Then we had a lengthy conversation. We realized that we had a lot of things in common. So while I was running the company, I had an NGO, but more like a silent NGO. So typically every weekend I go to underdeveloped communities to teach them media skill. But I pick
wow.
underdeveloped communities where you find guys that take weed, smoke, and all of that because I wanted to help them move from that state where they are to
Yeah.
something more productive. So
Yeah.
that was something I was doing. And it kind of gave me a lot of fulfillment. So I told myself that when I get to 55, I was going to retire from XM and move
Move to
into
NGO.
the NGO, then do that full time. But at least before that, I would have made a lot of money. 'Cause I believe in funding my project instead of going to asking for money. So that was my plan. So when that conversation, I realized that he too had the same things. We had similar stuff, and it was close to like a 3 hour conversation. It was fun. We talked about it. Then he now got appointments and invited me to the villa. So typically, when people invite you, you just go there and want to. But I prepared myself before I got there. I did like a roadmap for job creation and all of that. Then I got there. I did a presentation to him. He saw it and he liked it,
Wow.
and that was it. And that's how I landed on the 3rd of July in the villa.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my story.
This is an interesting
I didn't
story.
know anybody.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you very much. Yeah.
So how long have you been in the
So, like I said, I started in 3rd of January. Before they made appointment, I started working, and I've been doing a lot of groundwork and a lot of it. So, let's say July to July. That's 1 year now.
So digital
And creative
and
economy.
creative economy. So let's now go into
The work itself. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But first of all, I think we need to have this definition because I know I saw on your page recently because I was stalking you now that I knew you were coming for the show.
Okay.
So I know you went to, I think it was a cosmetic store.
Yes.
Yes, you visited them and then you said it was also, in your caption, you kind of connected it to the creator economy. So I was like, oh, I'm going to make a mental note to ask you when you come
Okay.
about the scope of the creative economy
Yeah.
because it seems that it's so wide.
It's wide. Creative economy.
It's-
In short, there's even an argument that sports should be in the creative economy. I try to stay away from that argument, but sport is, in a way, it's also entertainment too. So it's creative. Yeah.
Okay, so you define it in your own words. What would you define? How
So
would you define creative economy?
I won't limit this. I won't limit the scope of creative economy. It's huge, and it's always interesting whenever I have this conversation with Alibaba. There's a framework that he shared with me, and it's huge, where it's film, it's music, it's art, it's makeup, it's hair, it's drama.
Yeah,
It's huge.
music,
Yeah, it's
everything.
music. So it's a matter of how far can you go.
But it's not that
yeah.
difficult. It doesn't make your work difficult. Like, so don't you have like a defined
So
scope?
so the challenge is that, and okay, well, we're in Nigeria. So if you decide to focus in just this area, you're going to get criticized that you've neglected
This
this
other
other side
area.
because they are not famous, because they're not glamorous. That's why you've neglected them. So you're focusing on the ones that are glamorous. So I try to do a bit in I know
In
I might not
every-
be able to cover, but at least to the extent anything I can cover, I'll try my best to do that, so that if you're accusing me, I know that at least I've covered a very good ground. Yeah.
Okay, but it's hard because I know we're talking about grants now and so many other
Not
things.
grants,
So
loan.
loan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw grant on your page. So I thought
No,
it was
not my
grant.
page. My page.
Okay, but first of all, let's even take it slowly, yeah,
Okay.
right? You know, for example, in Nigeria, right? I don't know about other countries, and I think it's similar in other countries as well. Getting loans
Yeah.
and grants for creative economy is
Difficult,
really
I know.
very difficult. You know, for manufacturing is easy because
Yeah.
everybody wants to
It's
invest. In,
tangible.
thank you. The risk in the creative industry is so huge that it's hard.
Yeah.
Right. So, I want to ask you now. So,
Yeah.
first of all, what was the intent of giving these loans out to the creative economy, and
Okay.
why is it easier for us now in this economy to be able to access the loan?
Yeah. Thank you very much for the question. So let me just start with the first.
Yeah.
So one of the first things I did, because I was so excited when I got in, myself and my team would come up with different plans and all of that. But I later realized I'm not here for myself. I'm not here to serve myself. I'm
Yeah.
serving an industry, and there are a lot of conversations that have happened. There are needs across board. So you needed to get feedback from the people you're trying to solve this problem for. So one of the first things that we did, we had to pull back a bit, and we had a roundtable in the villa. I know not everybody was able to attend. That we had close to like 600 people from different part of the country came to the villa. This was in November, and the Minister of Art, Culture and Creative Economy also used that to project a roadmap for the industry. Now, the objective of that was to get feedback from the stakeholders, just to hear them. And after listening to them, there were three core things that I picked from that engagement. One was access to finance.
Yeah.
Second was there were not enough talent in the industry. So you hear conversation
Really?
like, I want to do a production, I have to go out
Go
of the country
abroad.
to bring it. We shouldn't be. We have the numbers.
We have a
So it means that there is a huge gap there in terms of the level of capacity that people expect.
Yeah.
So that's then infrastructure to support the creative economy.
Yeah.
And we looked at that and we say, where can we start from? And we looked at access to finance. Almost everybody is complaining about access to finance. You have project and you're looking for money. So for the round, one of my partners was Providence Bank. They were
Yeah.
one of the companies
Yeah.
that funded. By the way, every single thing I do is private sector funded. All my
really?
projects are
Well, it's
donor
not funded from the government.
all my projects are donor funded. We're creative, so we try to be very creative in the way we work too. So
Okay.
I needed to say that.
Okay.
So I went into conversation with and thank God for the MD of Providence Bank. Because he saw the excitement and everything, I said, oh, okay, we're going to support the 5 billion. So he created a 5 billion fund. So it was not a matter of how do we structure this. And I know in the past, because I got some feedback too in the past where people have tried to do and nobody was able to get this money. Someone even told me about one that I think CBN had done in the previous government with Zenith Bank. Nobody got that money. I even heard about the one that, what's this guy's name? Bank of Industry did. But the condition was that they were the one that selected the production houses to use and all that. I saw one of the movies that were shot from that. It was rubbish. I couldn't stay 15 minutes because the creative didn't have control over their production. You force different people on them. So you don't blame them when stuff. So based on all those feedback, I said, okay, we can't go that route. We need to do something different. And I know that one of the first conversations is you can't ask a creative to bring collateral. Where are they going to see land? Where would they see car or all those things too? It's easy for someone in oil and gas or someone in construction because they have all of this things, but it's going to be a different conversation to run with creative. So my first battle was, I just told them clear and clear, collateral is going to be out of the table. If we're doing this, it was a difficult battle, but we succeeded. We took out collateral because the conversation was, even though it's not a law yet in Nigeria, we should, and that's the goal, to get to the part where your intellectual property becomes your collateral.
Yes.
And that's our goal. So I said, this is how we have to work. Then the second one was, you can't ask them to do the same interest rates that they're pushing out there. Can we create it? Can we structure something in the form of an investment? And they looked at it and they agreed. So we were able to create a fund that was non-collateral and was going to be structured in a way of investment. So let me explain what I mean. Investment in a way that you're producing let me use the word film. You're producing a film and the film probably costs 5 million to produce. What's your projection, your sales projection? If your sales projection is close to like, just to be conservative, 750 million, it means that your profit margin is 250 million. So what we have said is that extra 250 becomes a profit. We're going to share it between the creative and the bank. Within 70, and also that was a very difficult negotiation, so 70-30. The creative takes 70, then the bank takes 30%. That was what we now agreed to do. So with that, you're giving them comfort, and they're not under any pressure. So if it's going to take you 2 years to run your production, then run it. You're not under any pressure, as long as you don't eat the money or you don't divert the money, which is some of the issues that we've had in the past where people take money and they end up buying houses and all of that. So this has to work. So this was what we agreed, and we said, okay, let's start. And I knew that a lot of people were doubting whether this was going to work. I said, okay, we needed to prove these people wrong, that this thing is possible. Then we brought a few people that were part of the conversation. And the vice president had been very supportive from day one. Because even before we had the roundtable, he had a conversation with them. And the truth is that even before that conversation, a lot of these guys were angry. And the vice president had to apologize to them. We know that the government has not supported this industry before now, but now we're going to support. And during the roundtable, they were very quiet because they had gotten the assurance from the vice president that they could tell that he was very sincere, that he was ready to support the industry. And also the vice president gave them the assurance of the president that this was a priority for the president. And so it was based on all of that we were able to arrive at this. Then we selected a few persons. They went through the conversation. The question that you probably asked next is, why film?
Yeah.
And like you said before, the banking industry, they're a bit scared of the creative. Because they don't understand the creative industry. So it's a bit dicey for them. And for me, I needed to start with one. And if it works, then I can bring other people in. So the conversation was, where can we start from? You need to give us a soft landing. So we'll say, okay, can we start with film because of the streaming platforms? It's easy for them to have off-takers. If I produce a film, I know that based on the fact that I'd worked with the streaming platforms before, I know that they're going to take up my film. So that gives the bank a bit of comfort knowing that you have off-takers that would take up the film. So that's how we decided to start with film, so that they can understand, because they don't understand. Even a lot of the guys heard about Netflix. It's so shocking. A lot of them heard about Netflix for the first time.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I am serious. They heard about it for the first time. They don't understand how it works. So it was during this process They understood how this whole thing worked, how the streaming platforms work, how the even the cinemas, what's the sharing formula between the producers and the distributors, how this whole thing works, so that you understand the dynamics of this industry. And it was a good one. When we're done, 4 people were approved. And we said, okay, we're going to do out 1.5 million naira to them. And that's how we arrived at that number. And like I
Okay.
said, we wanted the bank to understand the process. That's how we did it. So after the first one, we now decided to throw it open to everyone. So anybody can apply for it. So it's not just tied to just films. You can be doing drama as long as you can show profitability.
Profitability.
Then it's fine.
So what's the process like if they are out?
So the process is just you send an email to creatives with S at providusbank.com. Send it, they will reply, then they will share what the criteria are, then you start the process. Then there's a vetting process and all of that. Then if you go through the process, and I have to say this, so that people don't think that it's free money. I know the thing with Nine, even when you don't need. Let me digress a bit. One of the lessons that I learned during the first phase was I realized that a lot of creative don't understand the business of creative.
Yeah, they
They
don't
don't
understand
understand
the
the
business.
business.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, for us to grow as an industry, we need to focus on the business of create. It's not, I know we get too excited when we begin to create some of this wonderful stuff. Wow, you're excited about it, but for financial institutions, they are more about the numbers. They want to see how this is going to generate money for them. We need to start thinking about, and we need to start structuring our businesses. The question is, how many of our creative have audited finances? They don't think about these things. A lot of people use their personal account to run business. All these things count at the end of the day. If you're running a business, you need to have a corporate account. Then you need to keep your books, because if you're dealing with this financial institution, and we're going to keep dealing with them, they will want to see all of these things organized. Yeah.
So can you tell us? I know you said it's thrown open to everybody, but you are already inside, so you can tell us the industries that you feel like would most likely be giving this out. You know why?
Yeah.
Because of just this thing that you have just said.
Okay.
Books.
Exactly.
I'm a graphics designer, for example. I can't say I want to come and
So
apply
as a
for it.
graphic designer,
Uh-huh.
what are you asking the money? What are you requesting the money
The
for?
money for, yeah.
So let me give an example as a graphic artist, and I'm saying I need the money to buy an equipment, this equipment,
Okay.
and I can show that even without this equipment, this is what I've been able to generate from my own little jobs that I've gotten out of that. And I'm saying with this equipment, I can do these numbers. If I can show track record, then it creates a very good case for you to get that money. Then it makes sense. Yeah, for you to apply and get that loan.
Okay, so who are the people that have benefited so far? You know why? Because we
Yeah.
need to see. This is
Yeah.
Nigeria.
So yeah, I get that question a
Yeah.
lot. We're going to mention the names earlier, but the feedback was that by the time you mention their name, the people, because we're talking about films now,
Yeah.
the guys that they've contracted to do all of this job for them will increase their price. Yeah, it happened to like 2 persons. Yeah, where they had agreed terms of operations with all these different people. But they now heard that they were one of those, then they changed it for them. So, in as much as I want to put that information there, I also don't want to put their project at risk, because they've been given a particular amount of money based on based on the budget that they've submitted. If that happens, it means that it changes the whole budget at the end of the day, and it affects that project. But the names will come out, so it's just a matter of timing. I can show everybody the names will publish
Because
the names.
transparency is
It's
very,
very key,
very
yeah.
key,
Yeah.
especially in this issue. Because right now, a lot of people will still be doubting you. I know
I
you
know.
were saying that the government spoke to a couple of people, but a lot of people will still be doubting. Like, are you sure this is for everybody,
It's for everybody.
and not just for a certain group of
It's
people?
I can assure you, it's for everybody. Everybody.
Mr. Fego. So if somebody who hasn't, for example, maybe the person hasn't shot a movie that is on Netflix before, but the person is very, very good, and he can show track records of, small short films that I've done, and I want to now do a Netflix movie, but I do not have track records of making money from my movie because I haven't done it. I haven't done a major movie before.
Yeah.
does that person stand a chance?
So I'm going to be very sincere.
Be sincere.
If you cannot show a track record, it's going to be a difficult conversation. I remember this is not government money; it's bank money.
Okay.
It's going to be a very difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to be very, very sincere, it's going to be a very difficult conversation. You need to show track record. You need to be able to show that you're going to generate this money, or else you just be dumping the money in the pits. That yeah.
Okay, creatives, you've heard from Mr. Fego. Even me, I know, like you, I usually doubt, but listening to him now talk and everything, I'm actually convinced that he's actually saying the truth and he has the interest of the creatives at heart. So it's also a wake-up call for all of us creatives who are not the ones that are not taking care of their books. It's time for you to wake up and start taking care of your books. It's very, very important. And it's very good because right now we need to start thinking of creative. I usually tell a lot of creatives I see that come to the show and even outside, they treat the business as personal business. And I understand that because creativity sometimes is very, very subjective.
I know.
It's passion, so you want to do everything by yourself. But if you're going to scale, you can't do that. You have to treat it as a business, especially if you're going to scale. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I also mentioned this to a lot of the guys who producing too. I know we're creative, but also have to be creative in the way we drive this too. So e.g., you're shooting film. I think, in my own opinion, there's an aspect of the film production process that we've really not maximized. Brand placement. I think we have not maximized. And I'm coming for someone that have been in the marketing space. I can say that because brands have budget for advertising. It's simple. You can adjust your storyline to accommodate them. So if I do a storyline and I want to approach this bank and I do a storyline that connects to them, and I get their money, that becomes extra profit for me.
For you,
so I'm not just relying on what I'm going to make from my streaming platforms or when I go to cinema. I'm getting extra money from different, and I think if we do it right, we can start diverting some of those budgets into a film production.
I totally agree with you, but I think it also has to do with creativity. But we're getting there because if you watch some foreign movies and stuff, the way they integrate brands,
very creative,
very creative,
you
very seamless,
exactly,
very beautiful. Some people are doing it in Nigeria now, but a lot of people, like you said, have not really taken advantage of that. And one of the things you would also help us do is to sensitize brands to understand that they need to collaborate with the creative economy, because a lot of them too are just a bit scared. And I know because some of them have been beaten before, so they'll be like, no, it's like waste of money. But if it's not waste of money, if you're working with the right people who know what they are doing.
So imagine movie producers working with ad agencies to help them with this bit. At the end of the day, everybody
will be happy. So we're relying on you now that you're there to do a lot of sensitizations and awareness. And I'm also glad that you clarified something, because I know that every one of us, I saw a Sheyi tweet. Yes,
that was it.
So
because that one had a grant
on it, and it was saying it's from the presidency, not private sector. So I'm glad that you were able to clarify that. So what are other plans that you have in place for the creative economy?
Okay. Before I answer that question, let me also say that even though it's 5 billion they were working with, the MD of Providence Bank has assured me that we're going to increase the money. They are going to increase the money as long as this works.
Okay.
And I'm also talking to 2 banks for me to get more funds, because what I think is that if this works with one, then it's easier for me to bring in other financial institutions into the picture, and that will create more funds. My plan is to generate as close as 100 billion for this industry, but it has to work. So that it makes it easy for me to have this conversation with other financial institutions and create this kind of structure.
Well, kudos to Providence Bank for being the first to jump on this. That's amazing. It tells a lot about their brand.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So in answering the question that you asked, so there's an IDAS fund. So I laughed, first of all, because people are tired of hearing IDAS everywhere, IDAS. And I want to assure a lot of people that it's real and it's going to work this time. Yeah. And we're hoping that in next 2 months or so, we're going to start rolling out funds for the different things that we want to do. So IDA is investment for digital and creative economy. Okay. So it's for both the digital and the creative ecosystem. And the funds covered, it's grants. So there's a
Okay.
grant part of it, then there's a loan pillar of it. The grants part of it covers capacity development and infrastructure.
Okay.
And I know one of the things that I mentioned earlier is
Yeah.
infrastructure,
Yeah.
being able to provide infrastructure to support the creative ecosystem.
Yeah.
That's one. And the fund is $617 million. So it's a huge fund. And the vice president has promised that half of that fund will go to the creative, while the other half going into the digital ecosystem.
Ecosystem.
That's one. Then the second one is that what I try to do is, because if I'm going to reach the grassroots, then I have to go to states. That's where the work is.
Yeah.
And my focus now has been moving to states. So that I've been doing a lot of traveling to different states, and I don't just jump into that state and start executing. I also want to have conversation. Like I said, when we had the roundtable in the villa, a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to
Of
attend.
being there,
Yeah.
yes.
So what we've started doing is that we have been going to states to have conversations with them, bring all the creative in that, put them together, we have conversation. Then we now decide based on the feedback that we've gotten from them, what is more important to them at that point. So that has helped us. We've done in Enugu. Now we're doing a training around fashion because we've seen that a lot of people want training around that. Then
Yeah.
and also for the fashion training, we've created it in two stages. So there's the one for beginners, those that want to learn how to sew and also want to go into then the second level is those that already know how to sew. They have fashion businesses, but we need to upscale them because they need access to finance.
So this training is from your office?
From my office, yeah. And we're doing 5,000. We're training 5,000 in Enugu. So for the accelerated training, what we're trying to prepare them, we're trying to prepare them for money. We're trying to prepare them for money. So we're training them on branding, marketing, basic stuff, accounting, and all of that. Things that will help their brand to scale. So that when you're giving them within 2 to 5 million, they know how to manage that money.
it,
Because my
yeah.
focus is, I want this business to grow from A to B. I don't want a case where you give them money and they don't know
You're
what
not
to do.
seeing
They
any
don't know what to
impact,
do with the
yeah.
money, and their business is still at the same. So they need that level of training. That's there. We've also gone to Jigawa State. Jigawa is a different ball game entirely. So imagine if we're deploying the same strategy across, but would have failed in Jigawa
Failed,
State because
yeah.
the demand in Jigawa was way different from what we're experiencing in Enugu. And also because there's language barriers. So the kind of things that you want to do in Enugu, you can't even do it in Jigawa State. And it was good that we had that conversation. So we had a roundtable in Duse. Duse is the headquarters of Jigawa State. Then we also went to Adija. Adija is on that city, on that major city. We were shocked. We were planning for 200 people in Adija. We had close to 600 people that came for that stuff. And we had to attend to everybody and realize that the demands were different. And I'm glad that we had that conversation. Now we're about to start their own level of training. For there, we're doing leather training because those people are good at that leather. We're doing fashion and some other training too. We've gone to Cross River. Cross River State was a different ball game too. So there's a need for me now to move to all the different states and have conversation with the grassroots guys, and not just have conversations. So I also visit the small businesses. I go there to see what they have. So they're not just telling me that, "Sir, this is what my challenge is." I'm going there, I'm seeing it for myself. This is what your challenge is, and this is what you need. So this is what we're doing right now across the different states. So we do those engagement, then we'll start to implement either training or we're providing with money. They're also building infrastructure. So I know one thing that we're trying to do in Jigawa State is to build a hub.
Okay.
Because a hub for fashion and leather. Because you can't train them on how to sew or how to make shoes and all of that when they don't have the equipment. So, and we're thinking, how do we solve the problem for everybody? So the best way is to create a hub where everybody have access. They can go there and produce their products. And we're also helping them with the go-to-market strategy. So you teach them how to produce products. How do they sell? Because if they don't sell their product, then it doesn't make any sense. So that's also what we're doing. Then we're also deploying some digital solutions so that you can have their product on e-platforms, e-commerce platforms, where people can buy their product anywhere and anytime. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That seems reasonable. At least that's the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Exactly, yeah.
if we're talking about the creator economy, we're not really talking about the learned. We're talking about the illiterate, the
Exactly,
people who
yeah.
are in the grassroots who have talent,
Yeah.
but don't know how to access, information and money. So
Then
that's
I also did mention Kano. So we're starting a training around film we're starting with Kano, because the plan was to deploy this across 6 geopolitical zones.
Okay.
So what we're trying to focus right now, we're trying to focus on short content, yeah, like a 5 to 10 minutes, because social media right now has become a tool to
Yeah.
monetize. So
Yeah.
how do we maximize it? So we're
Yeah.
going to, that's how we develop this training, and we're starting with the northwest. Yeah, northwest. That's where Kano is, and Kano is Kannywood. So we're training 10,000 people across the state in northwest. The overall goal is that we want to be able to teach them how to produce short content that we can monetize, and we also have some partners that we're working with that will help us with the monetizing process, so that they can also make money from all this content that they're doing. Apart from that, we've been supporting comedians too, because like I said, if you focus on just
One.
one, yeah, you say, okay, you're not doing this thing. So
Yeah.
we've done worked with Alibaba, we worked with AY, worked with Sheilo in Abuja when he did his concert. So we try to support their events. We worked with Chuks the general. But now we want to change our strategy.
Okay.
So we're going to be working with Mr. Paul in Delta State. He has a comedy concert coming up. And the question we're asking ourselves, so not just giving sponsorship money or support money, how do we help to promote the upcoming guys using these bigger platforms? So what we have discussed with him is that we want to do a campaign and say, if you're into skit making or all of this, do a short skit. Let your people vote. Then we'll pick the 10 top people from that whole crowd. Give them
Campaign.
financial reward. Then also we agreed with him to allow like the top 5 to
To
perform
perform in
in
his
a show.
show.
At least the first set of people that perform, let them perform. By doing that, you're giving them a big platform to express their
Yeah.
talent, and that
Yeah.
can become the starting point for
For
their business.
them
Yeah.
as
So
well.
so by doing that, you're not just supporting the big guys, you're also creating a platform for the upcoming guys to grow.
To grow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
So we're going to
pretty
be doing that
amazing.
in Delta State, and also do that in Calabar
In
too.
Calabar.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So let's go back to that IDA fund
Yes.
again. So how do people apply?
So we're not done yet with the criteria, because it's going to be on the we're going to publish the requirements when we're done, and everybody can apply. And one of the things I'm going to say, and which is what the vice president has said, because the vice president is the chair of the steering committee. There's a technical committee, a 13-man committee, which I'm part of. So myself and my colleague represent the VP office. Then you have representative from Ministry of Art, Culture, Creative Economy. You have Ministry of Digital Economy. You have Ministry of Finance. You have Ministry of Trade and Commerce. Yeah, I think I mentioned all of them. Then you have 6 persons from the private sector. That makes the 13-man
Yeah.
committee. A lot of work has gone into it, but very soon, I'm hoping this month we'll be able to publish the requirements so that people can start applying for this grant. Yeah.
Okay. So you've said a lot today,
Yes.
and you made mention of your plans and some of the things you're doing in the grassroots, and
Yeah.
then somehow I'm beginning to see what Shaylo was talking about in terms of communication.
Yes.
So it seems like you're doing so much,
People
but
don't know about it.
people don't know about it, especially even people in the creative economy. Like if I hadn't stumbled on this, I wouldn't have known that you've
That
been
this is
doing.
happening. Yeah.
Do you understand? So what plans do you have to actually properly, apply the creativity
Okay.
in
So
communicating?
I've heard a lot of the feedback, and in-house I've set up a media team in-house to be able to solve
That
some of those
problem.
problems. So
Okay.
going forward, you're going to be seeing a lot of communication. A lot of the blogs that we try to avoid, we will go there and put up stuff so that people can see. I try to stay away from those blogs, but that's right, you can't. Yeah, whether you like it or not, somebody will carry you and go and put you there. So we
Yeah.
have to also work with them so that
Yeah,
people can
yeah.
hear.
Okay, cool. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Of
yes.
course,
Okay.
I know you have a question.
Sorry, my name is Akim. I'm a film director.
Okay.
I used to be in the music part for longest time, and I was so involved. I was an artist, even blew as an artist and everything. But I started so young, so I could say that the music industry started in my eyes, right in my eyes, in terms of like the Kenny's music. I was an upcoming artist at the time. So I saw everything grow, and I saw the pain that all the artists go through. That's why I'm so happy with this development, because I saw from the artists to the to the producers and everything, songwriters, which is much more better now. But then it was too tough. It wasn't a good time to be in the creative space at all. The reason why I left, because how tough it is. So there was a meeting that shout out to LD the Don. He created a meeting, and I was young. A lot of people were in the meeting talking about how they could try and make sense of all this hustle they've hustled, in terms of why is this not an industry, a proper industry? Why is the Alaba, for example, just making money off them and there's no structure? And they try to involve the government. There's a story South Sultan said that day. It was very interesting. May so rest in peace. He said they went to the community that is supposed to be in charge of this whole music thing from the government, and in another state, and they don't even know who they are as an artist. And it was amazing. So but it wasn't successful. I don't know what happened, but now fast forward to today. Even though we're celebrating like the likes of superstars that have made it out of the music industry, I think there's a big gap when it comes to we owning our like content. Let me just put it that way. I think I used to say this every time. I think we waited again for the music was the last, almost one of the last resources that Nigeria had, and then we waited for the white man to come and just help us out once more. And this is very, very sad. Does it ever get to because I'm talking to the likes of Spotify and everything, they actually solved the problem for us at the time. And it, even though we're celebrating individuals based on the success, then it is not now inclusive. I don't expect every artist to be like a global artist, because that's what we're celebrating. You can be in Ikorodu and make your numbers out of the people from Ikorodu and be an artist and just make sales out of the people in Ikorodu. I wish, does this whole development get to the level whereby we own our platform, and the government support it, whereby we own our content and we can sell? Because the numbers here in Nigeria alone is for people, is enough for us to sell this content. I really wish, if the vision go exceed, that time where we own our platform. Is that what we are looking forward to in terms of content?
It's possible. I know those conversations that have been had before, and it's still ongoing. So that's possible, because I also think that some people have tried to create platforms like this to drive monetization for some of our content. It hasn't worked.
Yeah.
So the question is, why didn't it work? So those are some of the conversations we're having, so that I don't repeat the same. I believe everything is possible. It's just to know what is not working. How do we fix this, and all of that. And I also know that policy too helps all this conversation. So in terms of policy, I don't get involved in policy. The minister that and so I try to. Mine is more on intervention. So the minister handles policy. So she handles policy. I don't get involved in. But I know that there's a lot of work right now going on around policy, just to help us maximize enough what's the word again? The opportunities that we have across the different subsectors in the creative economy.
I think one of the things I got from what he was asking is, how do we own our own platforms? Is it something, for example, that your office would support if you have a creative come up with something like a Spotify or something like a Netflix and say, okay, this is Nigerian owned, this is African owned. How do we make it big and own our content?
So like I said, it's a conversation that I'm open to. And I'll also say this, because I've asked that question too. And I've seen that some people have tried it before. And even at Cannes too, there's someone that reached out to me and told me about the platform that they were building, but that is for only Yoruba content, for the diaspora, not here. So all these things are possible, and there are conversations that we can have. We can look at what's possible, and I believe anything is possible to find a way to make it work.
Yeah. So I think this is a very good time for creatives to put on their thinking hats and try to think out of the box since we have Mr. Fego here. I know you have another question. Don't worry. Since we have Mr. Fego here who is willing to listen, but I think we should think big. As creatives, we really, really minimize how we think in Nigeria. We just minimize it to what we do and our passion and making, small money. Let's think big. Let's not think for ourselves alone. Let's think innovation. Because if we revolutionize the creative economy, everybody is going to benefit from it. So as we have people think, and I know it's hard though, because everybody's just thinking, how do I make money now? Let me just trend.
Yeah.
Let me just, But as we're doing that, please, if you have the mindset, like you can do something worth it to change this creative economy, to make it more like what we have abroad, please, we are looking for you. I don't know about, I'm sure Mr. Fego is looking for you.
I'm reachable. You can reach me. So I try to manage my communication channel. So right now, more on Instagram. So you can reach me on Instagram. Send me a message. I will respond. I will. If it's not something I have to have that conversation with, I can send you a contact. Of who to spell. I will respond to you. Fegho-X, Feghox. Yeah, send me a direct message. I will respond to you anytime, any day. Anything is there any day.
Anytime, any
day. Yeah.
Okay,
So.
Great. I know Mr.
Yeah.
Kimo has another question.
So the intention is so great. Your intention and what you're trying to achieve is so great that I must ask, like, so does it mean when the tenure ends? I mean, when this tenure of the president ends and they stop, because that's always the fear. Because we're seeing it within other things that the government do. They stop and another government come and it's so how
do we continue?
Yeah.
So that's why we're also, as a government, the federal government is also trying to strengthen the agencies for continuity like this. Where I know you have a DG, but you also have permanent secretaries and all of that. Where even when the DG is not there, the permanent secretary can drive a lot of this thing. So it's not a tenor base. There's an institution to drive this conversation. Yeah.
And the likes of you will still be around or something. We hope, because
when my tenure ends, I'll pack my bag and go back to the private sector. And I'm hoping that my company will take me back.
That would be very sad. What's interesting about all of this is because of your intention, your ideas, and it's people like you we need in positions like that.
Yeah.
I hope when you even I hope you're just there to see this,
Yeah, but that's actually a very valid concern, right? Because all of these things you're doing, Mr. Fego, cannot be done in 4 years.
I know.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So, but you know what you're saying? It looks as if you're saying, I know, but there's nothing I can do.
So I try not to think about it so much, and what I've told myself is that you don't have so much time.
Yeah.
So do whatever.
What you can
so
do.
when people tell me that I'm all this everywhere, I remind myself I don't have so much time. Yeah. I need to move very fast, right? And I have the energy.
Yeah.
Then let's get to work. Yeah. And God willing, if we get an extra 4 years, then we can continue. Continue the work,
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm glad I had this conversation with
Same
you.
here.
And like I said, me too, I used to be a doubting Thomas, but I actually believe that he has good intentions, and like he said,
Thank
he's
you very much,
open, right? So you can reach out to him, and even me, if I'll reach out to you. And if you need support from us, we're here as well.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we're here to support, and we look forward to having a better creative economy, because it's my dream. It's something we all love.
That's also my dream.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because you said it too, you've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a one-day thing. We all want this creative economy to be bigger. And it has the potential to be bigger, to be larger than life. I mean, you can see what we're doing with music.
Yeah.
And our films too are getting...
That's global recognition.
Global recognition, yes. Now, content again, our content creation is going high again. And then we have fashion. We have a lot of stuff. So this is a good time to actually be proud to be a creative and then think outside of the box. So, Mr. Fego, before you go, I'd like you to really advise, creatives in Nigeria right now? Because I know you see some things that we don't see and you hear some things that we don't hear, and I know you will not say them.
Yeah.
But at least advise them.
Um,
What would be your
So if I would give an advice, because I'm coming from the private sector and I think as a businessman,
yeah.
my advice would be start taking this very important, the business of creative. You don't have to do it by yourself. Focus on your strengths. Bring in people that can do the accounting for you. Bring in people that can do the bookkeeping and all of that. By doing that, then you can build a structured company. As much as possible, avoid using personal account to run the business, because start thinking long term. Think about the future. Let's start structuring things, and by the time we do that, then we're creating businesses that will last for a long time. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that are sustainable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So the IDA fund thing you said is going to be
IDAs,
ready.
yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be ready soon, and then
Soon,
you
yeah.
communicate
Yes,
through.
I'll do
What's
that.
the official channel for that?
So
on
the publication
Instagram?
is going to be on all the newspaper.
Okay.
It's going to be on, and I also got to post on my page.
On
too.
your own page.
On my own page.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you can follow him for updates on
Yeah.
on that as well.
Thank you very
And he has promised that his communication is going to be better as well. So we're going to be seeing a lot of these things
Yes.
online.
Yeah.
Great.
Even yesterday, I visited the set of one of the production. One of the
Okay.
guys that visited this
Okay.
stuff. So and they did some videos too. That'll be going out, so
that'll
that
be
people
going
see
out.
that this thing is real.
It's
people
real.
Are, yeah.
Yeah.
People have gone to work and all of that. So
Yeah. And then everybody have direct access to having a loan or having a grant. All you need to do is make sure that your bookkeeping is intact.
yeah.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, so thank you so much, guys. I hope you've learned one or two things today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to comment. And like he said, he's open. We are all open to
Yeah.
creative ideas. So if you have any ideas, shoot it our way. And definitely, I am sure that Mr. Fego will respond. So thank you so much for being a part of this episode. Until we see again, bye.